I read 20 books during the month of September, which I think that this is the most books that I have probably read in a month this year, like literally so many. I think the biggest reason is because I didn't travel in September, and I feel like all the other months I traveled a lot. And then I also feel like because I wake up at 5 a.m. to read, and I also make sure that I don't watch a ton of TV, like hardly at all, and in place of that I am always reading. There's so many shows that I do want to watch, like the Bridgerton series and The Summer I Turned Pretty and Forever. Like there's so many shows that I've been meaning to watch, but I never get to because I'm always reading instead. But I love that I've read so many books because I have just gotten through so many fun storylines. So we're gonna go through all of these, but before we go through them, I want to kind of take out a few because the vlog that's coming on Saturday will have me reading 4 of these, so I don't want to share that vlog or share like the reviews from these books. So these are the 4 that I end up reading in the vlog that goes up on Saturday. You guys will see that, but the books that I read are It's Elementary by Elise Bryant, Teach Me to Fly by Tanisha Headley. I will say that this book is very highly rated. Absolutely fell in love with it. I think it only has like 90 reviews or something on Goodreads. It's a dark romance, but it's more dark because like there's very heavy topics. Like if you read Fast by Millie Belazar, you kind of know what I'm talking about. The topics are very heavy, but like the content isn't like a typical dark romance of like what I think it's like, which made me so happy that I found a book that I loved, just because I didn't know if I would find a dark romance that I love, but I think I just had to find the right one. So I talk about this in the vlog. I also read The Wrong Kind of Falling, and I read A Cinnamon Falls Mystery. So lots of good books that are not super highly rated yet and are kind of like newer, but I'm going to talk about those in the vlog on Saturday, so I don't want to like double up on the same thing pretty much. But you guys can always go to Goodreads to see my reviews. I try to keep up with those there. And let's get into all of the reviews here. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is Sweet Like Honey. I'm going to try to talk about some of the ones that I feel like you guys didn't really get to see me talk about much on the vlogs, because I usually vlog Monday through Friday. So any books that I start like Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, you don't really see very much. And sometimes I'll talk about it, but I just don't like go in depth because like, I don't know, I'm like reading something else. So this was one of those. I really loved this book. I will say it was very, very spicy, and it was a little bit spicier than I probably would have wanted to pick up, but it wasn't like all spice, no plot. That's kind of what I expected when I went into it initially. As it like got spicier and spicier, I was like, is there gonna be a plot? And then as the story goes deeper, they go through so much. Like literally, you will be just like all in the feels after you read this book. And I also read this book by Asia Monique, and I don't think I talked about it a lot on any vlogs, and it's called Sinful Vow. This is in a series, and I've been really trying to step into dark romance, and this is one that I picked up. It's a mafia romance. Love this book. If you guys have read, I'm gonna try to see if I can find the book. It's like around here somewhere. I think I was just looking at it yesterday. Oh, if you've read this book right here, My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shin. I read this a few years back. This, to me, is a better version of this. I didn't like love this book, I think, because I don't know, I just didn't really like it. Like I didn't enjoy it. Maybe part of it was because I didn't get the vibe. Like I was really big into my like fluffy romance era, and I just like didn't get it, you know. Like I don't think I even knew that there were like different types of romance. So I just picked up this book expecting it to be one thing, and it like wasn't. But this book had so many similar remnants of like that like vibe in this. And a girl, she's like pretty much betrothed to be married to this guy to like help her like family lineage, like, and they're in this mafia like, and it's just like gonna help their family and their company basically. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So of course she's resisting it, and of course the guy's like broody. It's very, very good. It's a very quick read. I read this over the weekend, and I think that those are most of the books that I haven't talked about. I feel like this month I kind of breezed through a lot of books and vlogs and didn't really have much to say, and I genuinely think it's just because I have a hard time sharing my bookish reactions while I'm reading them without spoiling the story. I got a comment, and granted, it's like literally one comment, but I got a comment from someone, they were like, yeah, you spoil every single book that you like read. And that was like months ago, but that has stuck with me. And so I've had a very hard time trying to like make sure that I'm not spoiling a story while still like getting you guys excited for the story. So I will say in the coming vlog, I do like talk a little bit more about like this book and like just a scene that I thought was like cute. And I don't even usually do that because I'm afraid that like if I talk about anything in the book that it's like spoiling it. But the reason why you guys watch these vlogs is literally because you want to see like my reaction. Now, everyone's version of spoiling is different. To me, if you're sharing something on the back of the book, or you're sharing like a small moment in the book that isn't like a turning point in the story, or it's not something that's gonna completely change my perspective of like the characters, like it's not groundbreaking, it's not like the crux or the meat of the story, to me, I don't mind if you share that. Like if it's just like a cutesy little thing, like in a book that I read, a guy, he takes a girl on a date, not this one, he takes a girl on a date in a bookstore. That to me, I would love to hear that. It would make me want to read the book, but a lot of people would say that that is a spoiler, or some people, I guess I wouldn't say a lot of people. So I really struggle with like sharing my perspective on books and like what is a spoiler to you. So comment below what you feel a spoiler is, because again, I feel like I've kind of gotten to this point where like a few years ago I would be like, oh my god, this happened and this happened, and I would like show clips of me crying and like clips of me like laughing and like literally giggling, kicking my feet. And now I feel like I don't even pick up the camera when I'm physically reading because I don't want to spoil anything. Like if I'm like laughing, kicking my feet, or if I'm crying, it's like I don't want you to know how I'm feeling because I don't want to spoil the story. And that doesn't, I don't know, I don't think that that's a spoiler, but just like let me know your thoughts. I will say that sometimes I also don't pick up the camera because I do really get engrossed in the story, and so sometimes like filming myself takes me out of the story, even though it's like nice to look back on. I don't know, I just like sometimes I'm just like cozied up in bed and it's like my camera's in the living room, you know, I'm just like enjoying the moment. So I think also because I'm on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and I have a podcast, sometimes I want to have moments for myself too. So I don't know, let me know what you guys count or think is a spoiler. I would love to hear your thoughts. I also read Take My Hand by Jolene Perkins Valdez. This book made me dive deeper into what happened to the Ralph sisters, and this is why I love historical fiction, because it gets me more excited to learn about things that I either already know about or learn about things I've never heard of before that happened in real time, real history, and to dive deeper, and that's just like literally so important. So I really enjoyed this book. I will say that a lot of this takes place in a courtroom, so keep that in mind, because going into this I didn't know that, and I feel like it would have given me a better perspective going in, like knowing that was most of the story was like in a courtroom and you're kind of like going back and forth, just because it's a different storyline than what I expected, but I really loved it. I rated this one 4 stars. And then I also read Falling Like Leaves. Guys, this book was such a surprise for me. And I think it was such a surprise because, one, I'm not a huge fan of young adult. Now, why did I pick up this book when I'm not a huge fan of young adult books? I don't know. I think just because the fall vibes that the book gave, I just didn't expect to love it. I expect to enjoy it. I love this book, rated this one 4 stars, which I feel like is so high for a young adult book for me. This book talks about a girl who ends up going to this small town that her like mom grew up in, or she grew up in, and like her life is turned upside down. I'm not spoiling anything. Her life is turned upside down. She has to go there for a short time with her mom, and she's someone who always is like focused on grades and not really like enjoying life. She's like never been to a dance or anything, and this town kind of makes her break out of that a bit. So you're seeing that storyline of like her not wanting to relinquish control, all she thinks about is college, and then you're also seeing her start to have feelings for someone, and that to me is the perfect blend of a romance, because a lot of the time I feel like young adult books, they focus so much on like, I don't know, the romance or they don't focus enough on the romance and it's like too much on like, I can't get into college, what am I gonna do? You know, and that is a big serious problem, but I think this book took me back to how I felt when I was like in the moment of trying to figure out where I'm gonna go to college, what am I gonna do next, like, and the ending of this I really loved. So I definitely would recommend this one. It is not hyped up enough. I cannot wait to read more from this author. I think it's such a cute read. I also ended up reading Love You to Death by Christina Dotson, which is a thriller. Normally I will like section out the books like with thrillers and romance, and but there's 20 books here. So like I don't really want to do that. I feel like that would take way too long just to like talk about it that way. So I'm kind of just picking up what's of interest to me. And this book I rated 4 stars. I love this one because I knew it was gonna be unhinged, and that's exactly what it was. It was like a hot mess. If there's one bad thing that could happen, it happened in this book. You do have to suspend reality a bit when you're like reading this one, but I thought it was really, really done well, and I have never read anything by this author. Honestly, what got me was on the front it says, there's like a quote from Lane Fargo that wrote The Favorites, and I enjoyed The Favorites, so I thought I would enjoy this. I always feel like if there's an author on the front or the back leaving like a blurb for a book, I always feel like the vibe is kind of similar, and The Favorites was like messy. So much mess happened in the book that you're just like, what the heck? Like every second it's like, wow, we're going on a freaking roller coaster, and that was this book. Again, enjoyed it. I feel like this book has mixed reviews because people are like, oh well, like some people have loved it like me, and then other people are like, oh well, it's like kind of unbelievable, you have to suspend reality. It's like, that's reading. Like to me that's reading, especially with thrillers. It's like, okay, am I gonna get kidnapped in my backyard? Maybe, but maybe not. Am I gonna have to run, like be on the run in this car, you know, with my best friend and like try not to get caught? Like I don't know, you know, so it was really fun, and I could totally see that being turned into a movie someday. I also read, what's the book called? Tempted by Danger. I want to talk about this one first because I don't have the physical copy. I'm so sad that I don't, but this one is only on Kindle, and I love this book. I actually read this because I was trying to read like more spicy books, and I was trying to read books that were highly recommended to me. So many people have recommended this series, and immediately when I started it and like got into it, I was ready to read more, which is just, it goes to show that like the story is that good when you like have feelings like that. I will say I don't really remember much about it, and I don't know, someone like, one of you guys left a comment and I was talking about how much I read, and you were like, well, I think the reason why so many people like will have discourse about how much someone reads is because you don't remember it. And I think that that is fair, but I also feel like there's so many TV shows I've watched that I don't remember. There's so many like podcast episodes I've listened to that I don't remember. Like there's so many forms of any media that I've like consumed that I don't remember, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if I don't remember every single detail of every single book. I think that reading is reading. I'm still expanding my knowledge by just like consuming literature in any capacity, and I don't know, I think that reading will always be good even if you don't remember every single thing in a book. Like I feel like if I were to sit around with a group of friends in a book club and we were to talk about this book, things would start coming back. I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that, and I remember this, and I remember that. Like I think it would come back more, but because I'm like sitting in front of a pile of 20 books, it's hard for me to be like, okay, what's that thing that happened in that book? I will say that, again, I was halfway through the book and I was already ready to read the next one. I do think that reading the physical copy would have helped me more because I kind of got into this rut this month of reading my Kindle or reading on my Kindle, and it kind of became an extension of my phone where I feel like I wasn't able to focus very much. And I don't know what it was, because obviously the screen on a Kindle is different than like your phone screen, but I think that a physical book is so nice for me because I have a job where I'm like in front of a camera, I'm on a laptop, I'm on my phone all the time. And so I don't really get a break from like looking at something that's like technical. And so it was just, I don't know, a little much because I read that book and then I jumped right into other books on my Kindle and just kept reading Kindle after Kindle after Kindle book. Another book that I read on my Kindle was Perfect Sister by Desiree, because I bought this book and it literally started falling apart. Now, I am someone who I mean, I crack my spine, I bend it up, like I do all the things. And this one, just like the pages started coming out, I was so surprised. And so I was just like, let me read this on my Kindle because I don't want it to be like any more butchered than it already is. I did read The Perfect Sister first, and then I read The Perfect Sister 2 after. And this was another series that I loved so much that I had to like buy the second book in the middle of the first book. I rated this book 5 stars. It's such an incredible thriller. I do not think that everyone will love this. And sometimes I have a hard time rating books 5 stars when I feel like people are looking at my reviews as like Bible. Like, you know, oh my God, Shaughnessy, you rated this 5 stars. I need to read it. It's not gonna be for everyone. I can tell you that, especially because some people didn't like this book, and to me, I'm like, this is a great thriller. Like, it's unhinged, it's messy, it's crazy, like that's what I expected in a thriller. And this book is about a girl who ends up going missing from a cult, and so the girl who's in the cult, she's like, I need to do anything I can to find this girl. And so part of that means she might need to leave the cult to find her. And so you do get 1,000,001 perspectives in this book, and I think that some of the reviews were like, I wish there weren't so many characters. I loved every character. That actually made the book go faster to me. Like, if you've read Demon's Dream by Elle Kaysen, that book to me is so entertaining because it's told from 4 points of view. It's like 750 pages, but it doesn't feel like it because the book is told from like 1,000,000 perspectives. And this one is like that too. It's told from, I want to say 10 perspectives. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm pretty sure it's 10 perspectives. I also was so surprised because this book does not have like pages on it. So I had a hard time figuring out how like far I was even in the book until I picked up my Kindle, which again was like part of the whole like Kindle thing, like Kindle reading. So yeah, I read this one, rated it 5 stars. This was also a thriller that I did not expect to rate 5 stars because I don't know, usually I know if a book's 5 stars, like, I don't know, like 50 pages in, I can usually tell. In this one, I couldn't tell until the end. And I think it's just because once I finished it, the character stuck with me. This felt real. If someone had said that this cult was a real cult, I would be like, oh yeah, I believe you, because it felt like it was very real. So, picked up this book. The ending of this one is just like, I hope she writes more. It definitely ends with like an ending where it's closed, but it's also kind of open-ended too. So I hope she dives into this more. And the characters, again, just felt so real throughout the whole book. I rated this book highly as well. And then I also read Yinka, Where's Your Husband? I do think this month I read way too many contemporary fiction books. I found myself really loving them, but also being like, I need a break. And so next month, I think I'm gonna try to read like a few and then just like, not anymore. Like, I feel like I read too many back to back. That's what I'll say. Because I read this book, enjoyed it. This reminds me of like a Bridget Jones diary, like coming of age for like the end of 20s, early 30s age. Like, what do I do after college? Like, how do I find someone to marry? Like, so many people are telling me, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get a boyfriend? Like, this book is that. Did this character make some wild decisions? Abso-freaking-lutely. Will you feel so validated by her making dumb decisions? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely, because she's human. And I think so often we see characters in books where they'll like, it'll be like, oh, like they meet someone, they get married, like they epilogue, they have kids, and it's like ho hum, perfect, you know, they met in a coffee shop or whatever. This girl, she like ends up talking to this guy, and it's like, well, that guy sucks. He talks to another guy, that guy sucks. And like, while that happens, she's also going through this other side thing with her family, and her aunts are always like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? Like every time she sees them, so she's like making up stuff to like make them be quiet. And like for a while she doesn't have a job, so she's like trying to go on all of these different interviews to get a job. It just felt very realistic, and I love this. And I think that this is a book that every woman should read because you will feel like you're doing just fine. Honestly, you'll read this and you'll be like, dang, my life isn't that bad. And honestly, she like runs off at the mouth a little bit, and it makes me be like, okay, like I'm like life isn't that bad, and I enjoyed it. Another book that is similar to this one is Mame. They're very, very similar. The only difference I think is this one's like more comedic, it's more funny, and it has like more focus on like romance and friendship. This one talks more about like grief and friendship, less about like romance. And so and this one's like a little bit heavier, I'll say that. They're very, very, very similar stories. So if you like this, I think you will like this. Or if you like this, I think you'll like this. I read them both in the same month, so they did kind of feel like I was reading the same story, but I enjoyed every bit of both of them. And they both made me feel like life is okay. I will say that this was really hard to read, and I've been wanting to read this for a while, but I'm glad I picked it up when I did, because I think if I had read it even 6 months ago, I would have really struggled to get through it emotionally, because it talks so much about grief, and it's just like a really hard story in that way. So, you know, go into that one with care. And then on a totally different vein, I've read so many different types of books. I read thrillers this month, historical fiction, I read contemporary fiction, I read dark romance, contemporary romance, I read queer reads, I read fall reads, I'm like literally looking around me, spicy reads, books with no spice. Like, I read so much. The only thing I didn't read is a fantasy, which is what I wanted to read. But I'm hoping next month I can read a fantasy, and I might even be doing a video where I focus on that. So I read The Filth Kings. This book was not for me, baby. This book was not for me. I read this because I went, you know, I've been trying to just jump into different types of books. This book was not for me. It will be for someone. I'm gonna say that. I will absolutely recommend this to the dark romance girlies. If you're someone who liked Haunting Adeline, you'd probably like this book. This guy kidnaps this girl. There's like to me, a whole trauma bond, but apparently it's like hot. I don't get that. I don't know. I'm like, if you're kidnapping me, I mean, I'm not falling in love with you. I'll say I'm not falling in love with you. But this book was told from multiple points of view, so it was enjoyable. I'd say that there were some points of view that I enjoyed better than others. Definitely a dark romance. I did enjoy the writing. I don't know if that came across because I speak so fast, but just the storyline was not my favorite. I think that this was actually my lowest rated book of the month, and it's just because the type of story. I'm trying new things, and I can't try new things and expect every new type of story to be a 5-star read. I just can't, because when I'm going to something that I don't know what it's gonna be like, then, you know, it's just like it's up in the air. But I will say, this was a dark romance I didn't care for at all. This is a dark romance that I absolutely loved, like could not get enough of. So that just goes to show that sometimes you gotta find the right book, and that's how I feel like I'm going to be with fantasy. Like, I just haven't found the right book yet that's made me fall in love with the genre, or just like know what I enjoy. Because now, even with romance, it's like I know I love a heartfelt romance. I know a book that's gonna make me cry. I know for contemporary fiction, I wanna read a book about friendship or about family, or, you know, have some kind of element of romance included in it, even a little bit. Like, I just know what I like, and I feel like that's how I'll be with other books too. I also read Consider Me, and I think that this is a better version of Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I read Icebreaker years back. I was like, this is way too long, and it was super spicy, but the first half of the book wasn't that spicy, and then the last half of the book was super spicy. Now, everybody that I've heard read this book has said that this book is super spicy. So I went into it being like, okay, this is gonna be Hannah Grace spicy. Literally on the front it says endlessly sexy and funny by Hannah Grace. So going into this, I'm like, it's a hockey romance, there's found family, it's gonna be super spicy. I think the reason I liked this better than Icebreaker is because in Icebreaker, it's like spice, college parties, you know, you're hooking up in a car, you're hooking up on the counter, you're like, and not that people don't do that in college, or just in general, like, I'm just saying, like, it's not like it doesn't happen, but I'm like, I need something else. This book gave that, because you see the spice and you see their attraction to each other, but there's also like another plot line that's like pulling the story along, which to me is my favorite type of romance, because I want to figure out what that thing is, because I already know that they're going to end up together for the most part. Like, I don't have a question about that. Usually with a romance, you get a happily ever after. But having that added storyline kept me so invested from the very beginning to the very end. So I definitely want to continue this series. I already bought the second book. I will say this one was definitely too long. I wish it was a little bit shorter, but I really did love the story, and I could see myself loving the rest of the series even more. So many people DM'd me when they saw me reading this. They were like, just hold on. Like, I promise after the first book it gets better. And I'm like, I like this. I don't need to hold on. I liked it. I liked it. I mean, I'm not doing cartwheels over it, but I liked it. I think I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I think that it would have easily been a solid 4-star read if it wasn't 875 pages. Okay, that's not like the list, but it was 471. I don't think any romance needs to be that long. Unless it's Demon's Dream by L. Caston. But also those words in Demon's Dream were like a lot thicker. These are tiny, like in comparison, tiny words. So like look at that, and then look at The Perfect Sister by Desiree, okay? Look at the difference. You see how small one is, how big another is. It just, you know, it's like we don't need all that. So I definitely would have rated it higher if the book hadn't been as long. I also read There's Pumpkin About You. This book was super cute, made me really excited for the fall season, and it also made me excited for more cozy reads. I'm not usually someone who likes a lot of cozy reads, but this was one that I enjoyed because like my brain got to completely turn off, and that's what I expect out of a cozy read. Now this book I did not expect to be as spicy as it was. I kind of expected it to be a cozy read going into it. And then some of you guys were like, oh, be aware, there's like harder topics. So I was like, bet, I will keep that in mind. There are harder topics, but it is also very spicy. Now I did share online, I was like, oh, this is a super spicy read. And someone's like, what do you mean super spicy? Like, this isn't super spicy at all. I don't know in what world we're in that this book, where they're literally doing like BDSM, is not considered spicy. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it being spicy, but I feel like sometimes like I will recommend a book and I'll be like, oh, this is super spicy, and someone else will be like, well, have you read such and such, or have you read it? And I'll be like, yeah, I've read it, and like that's also spicy, but this is also spicy too. So keep this in mind. If you're gonna go, you know, read this book, just know it is spicy. Is it the spiciest book you'll ever read? No. But is it way spicier than the average romance? To me, yes. But it's also interesting because everyone's like spice meter is so different, because I expected to go into this one like having it be crazy spicy because everyone's like, oh, it's spicy, it's spicy. And this is just like, okay, I mean, like they're hooking up. Like, I mean, that's spicy, but they're not doing anything wild. You know, they're not using like beads. Like they're not, you know, it's just a different level of spice that I expected from that book because everyone was saying it was so spicy. And it was just like regular spice. So anyway, really love this one. I loved the representation of a deaf woman, and I love seeing her be loved the way that she should. I've never read anything by Tay Monet, but I will definitely be reading more from her. I think I have one book on my shelf by her. That's not this one, obviously. And I will definitely be reading that soon. This was really enjoyable. I also read Fall for Him, definitely in a big fall mood, as you guys can see. And I love this one too. This one literally starts out where the main character falls through the ceiling of the like other main guy character, like literally onto their bed. And that's how it starts. And so I think I like that because immediately I'm like hooked. I'm in it. Like, you know, are they gonna fix the ceiling? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, is this person gonna be mad? I will say this one was also very long. This one was 369 pages, and I don't know why it felt longer than that, but it did feel long. So I've read one other book by Andy Burke, really love their writing. I love this one too. I will definitely recommend this one to anyone who wants a good fall read that's gonna be like funny. Like her writing is just really, really funny, like laugh out loud funny. And the last book that I have to talk about that I honestly have went back and forth about whether this should have been a 5-star read, but I think that rating at 4.5 is the perfect rating for me, because usually 5-star reads are books that I would like want to read again. Like that's my criteria for a 5-star read, and I feel like I got everything I need to get out of this. But so many tears with this book, so many emotions, all the feels. If you're wanting to read a contemporary fiction that is gonna make you think differently about women and the world, society, you have to read this book. I also think this is a book that every woman should read. It's about a group of girls who are in Florida, and they're all mothers, and you're seeing them navigate being teen moms, and it's just a heartbreaking but also inspiring experience, because I always assumed I knew what being a teen mom was like, and I had absolutely no idea. And I feel like this book just gave me like a glimpse into that. If you want to read a story that's devastating, that'll break your heart, but then kind of put it back together again at the end, pick this one up. It was so good. And again, I keep going back and forth. It's like, is this a 5-star read? If I were to rate a book like 4.8, like I don't use like that. I usually just do 4.5, 5, 4, 3.5, and so forth, because the other ratings is like I would never remember what I rated something if I do that. If I were to do that, this would probably be like a 4.8. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and all 20 of these books that I read. I cannot believe I read 20 books this month, but I feel like next month I'm gonna read even more because I've really been on this like big kick of just like picking up books and falling in love with new authors, and I know what I want to read more than ever now, and it makes me so excited to share more books with you guys because I have like really honed in on what I like to read. So comment below what was your favorite read of the month and also your least favorite read of the month so we can kind of just like chat in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!